I've built. Well, I've not been building a lot. I mean, I'm doing a lot of talking, but I'm not actually doing a lot of building. But I really would like to. I see this IC, which is an LT5517, I think, which is at least 10, 15-year-old now. So they're not current manufacture, but they don't, as I say, they don't require to be software driven. That's a great advantage. They're flat. Well, they have good local oscillator, you know, the 90-degree accuracy from 40 megs up to 400 or 800, I think. 800, that's right. So I could use that for a receiver on both 2 meters and 70, plus the accompanying up converter one. So I mean, I'm tempted to do that. As I say, it's something I always wanted to do, like this little 1-inch oscilloscope. That's pretty much the same. And since Finningley, I've obtained another brand new tube, which is noticeably brighter. Oh, I was reading Scatterpoint. I was very embarrassed to read Sam's article. I knew he was judging, and he put me as runner-up. Well, I only put that in to deliberately be an all-star so next time I shall have to do something that's a little bit more grotty. Although, you see, you could have said that about the Morse key made out of bits of wood, but I would have, I mean, had it not been for the Australians, I'd have definitely put it in first place, because it looks a lovely thing. Right, I'm rambling. I'm quite happy to finish now. It is 9 o'clock. I think we've gone through pretty much everything, so it looks like you're going to be wrapping it up, Peter. That's right, isn't it? Yes, you, Peter. G3PHO in the group, G4HJW.
G4HJW, G3PHO in the group. Yeah, fine, Bernie. I'll wrap it up here, okay? Okay, about Scatterpoint and so on. Yes, I saw that beautiful gear, that millimeter wave gear. It's strange that the Australian, the meal afterwards, I was talking to VK5KK, the Australian guy, was actually from the UK, but, and he and his mates went on to Friedrichshafen later, and a friend of mine locally here also went to Friedrichshafen, bumped into him, had a chat to him, and the VK5 mentioned he'd met up with me at Finningley, so it's quite a coincidence of all the people to meet at Friedrichshafen. He bumped into my friend Roger here, G3YBO, bumped into somebody that had met me the week before. So it's amazing. Okay, new Clark mass. I've got a couple of small 8.4 meters, I think, Clark mass here, and I've got the 12-meter one. The 12-meter one's up at the moment with my VHF antennas on it, and I'm going to lower that later on this week to do a bit of servicing and greasing the tubes. I noticed the top tube is very slightly off vertical. I hope I haven't bent it. It shouldn't bend, heavens above, but I've got it guide and I tried to straighten it out with the guys yesterday, but half past 10, 11 o'clock, I think I'll go in bed. In fact, I'll put the blanket on for 10 minutes. I came up here and I felt a bit chilly. I thought, well, I don't know, I'll put the blanket on for 10. I got in there, mate, and did a Eric, that was lovely and snug, and that was beautiful in there. Just nice and warm. So it just took the chill off the sheets, because I changed the bed, you see. Although the sheets are in the airing cupboard, I mean, they're nice and warm, but...
Yeah, I've got a very old rig here. It's I forget what it is now. TS5. It's a TS530. It's a very old TS530, and I'm using a linear amp using a 3500Z triode, and I'm feeding that into a full-size half-wave dipole. It's about 40 feet in the clear on 2 poles in the field. And we're about 600 feet above sea level. The location is a place called Holwell, which is about 12 miles north of Oakhampton in mid-Devon.
I've got you on the scope at the moment, on the...
in Twickenham. So if you hang on, you'll get reports from them. So pass it back to George. I don't know if you copied any of this, George. It's all yours, G0 CMF.
Yeah, that's fine, Willie. You're a romping signal, and Jim as well when he's not having to get his rubber hammer out. And good morning to Fred there. Yeah, M3CTW. This is G0 Charlie Mike Fox in Chepstow, North Cornwall. And I'm copying you about 7, Fred. Pretty good signal, but you know, I got a bit of noise at this end, but I'm still copying you over that. So you're doing a fine job, I think. Are you using the long wire or the short long wire at the moment on your next over? Only if you are using the short one, it's doing very well. We're rather restricted here for aerials. I got a loaded dipole, you know, which covers the main vans, but a very small garden, which is barely 25 feet by 25 by 25. That's the back garden. I don't progress the front gardens because I like to keep it a bit out of the sight of the people, neighbours. Anyway, there we are. That's it. The sun is shining. It's nearly 20 degrees here in Cornwall. So back to you, Willie. Hopefully Fred heard me, right?
Okay, George, all solid from you, and you've come up and you've hit the 9 that time, which is a bit, not, well, it's the best we've had this morning, but a bit unusual because you're 9 plus 30 usually. And according to my thermometer, it's gone up to 24 degrees. It's only 22 indoors, and the sun is shining outside, George. So, it's round to Bob. It's all yours, Bob. G3CPC.
G3BYT in the group from G3CPC. And good morning to Fred, M0WYJ, I think I've got. Anyway, good morning to you. Fully copied Twickenham.
Okay, mate. Enjoy.
Oh, to be honest, I couldn't understand him. I said to Tony there, I said about a cover for it, and he says, yeah, that's all right. But when I looked, it was just to cover the rig. I said, well, to be honest, Tony, I'd have thought you'd have made one to cover both the rig and the speaker. You sure we never thought of that?
Yeah.
I thought, well, you know, you got to move the speaker to put the cover on, so you might, why not just have one complete unit?
Yeah, right, absolutely. Because it is one complete unit in a way, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. So I'm having one made anyway, so it'll be better when I do get it.
Oh, right, yeah. I did wonder why you ain't got a cover, but there you go.
Yeah, anyway, I'm going to go as well, because I've got 1 or 2 jobs to do, and we're going up the gun club. And I'll tell you what, it's not very nice out here now. It's changed. And there's not a breath of wind. The washing on the line ain't moving a bit, nor are the trees, but that's come over as cloudy as the devil.
Yeah, okay, mate. We'll see you on then. Cheers.
Ta-da, mate. See you later. G4LJZKT.
Cheers. G4PPW likewise.
Yeah, mate. We're like sort of building up from, say, 90 up to 180, was it? 180 something. And then this year, 2. Early on in the year, we had 2 contacts, and that was it. And it's been I got to the stage I used to come in, switch the rig on, and start, and barely worth listening on 20 now. I think I could hear 2 Europeans this morning. Anyway, let's see what your friend. I'll give him a report if I can, Dave. M0SPZ G3RUO.
Yeah, roger, roger. Yes, just stand by then, Bill. G0GSR. G0GSR, Mike 0 Sierra Bravo Zulu, listening.
Yeah, good morning, Dave. Good morning to Bill, if you're copying. G0GSR, name is Frank. Location is Tavistock in Devon, about 15 miles north of Plymouth. Bill, you're about 5 by 7 with me. Not a bad signal, and lovely day this morning in the southwest. Well, how you copy, Bill? G3RUO with M0SBZ from G0.
W0GYV.
Hello, Peter. Yeah. Morning to you, Frank. I think there was a Peter there. I didn't look at the meter, but I should imagine you're 5 and 8 to 9. Frank, 5 and 8 to 9 here. We're about 6 or 7 miles south of the city of Leicester. Running 100 watts to 180 foot of wire, I'll say that. And I'll exchange reports with you, Frank. Well, I've got mine from you. I'll hang around and give Peter one, and then I'll clear and leave you to it. G0GSR, G3RUO.
Yeah, okay, Bill, all understood. Understood about the slightly off-centre fed doublet there. Quite an unusual antenna, that, but obviously it's working for you, and the problems you were having with it, I sympathise with you. I can't get such a thing up here. I've got a doublet here, but it's a little bit short, very similar to Dave's, really. And it's at all sorts of strange angles, but that's what you've got to do to get them in these days, haven't you? And I'll stick it over to Peter. I'll let Peter give you a report. MW0GYV in the group. Go ahead, Peter, from G0GSR.
Yeah, thank you, Frank. Good morning, everybody.
Willie commented on it, and he was able to null out his neighbour's plasma TV and everything, and copy. I mean, I wouldn't...
You're 59, Dave, you're 58, and Bill, you're 5 and 5, 2, 5 and 7, going up to 5 and 8, so quite variable, really, from Leicester. And quieter day here, but very sunny day yesterday, very busy, as you know, so there we go. For your interest, Bill, I'm running a Kenwood TS870 and a little amplifier, somewhat modified, and a doublet antenna, a classic one, 133 feet, but not very straight at all, not very high either, and very, very thin wire, 20 gauge, it's about 20 gauge, but 9 cores. And you're off frequency, I think you're about 50 hertz high. So back to, over to Dave, M0SBZ, MW0GYV.
Yeah, roger, MW. Very good morning, Peter, to you. Good morning, Frank, of course. And so where are we? MW0GYV, G0GSR, G3RUO, M0SBZ returning. Well, look, Bill, great to work you again. Thank you so much for giving us a shout. And we're usually on up this end of the band on 80 from about 9 o'clock for about 45 minutes. While we sort of chew the breeze, or shoot the breeze, as the Americans used to say. So please feel free to call in again, Bill, and we'll be more than happy to include you in our little group in the morning. So if you feel like it, give us a shout, and as I say, we can always hear you, because monitoring on the web SDR means we're sort of almost running a duplex sort of operation, so we can always hear people breaking in over the top. I'll put it, you are tiny bit off frequency, but it's not nothing really to worry about. G3RUO in the group, M0SBZ.
Yeah. Hey, Peter, you're a good 5 and 9 with me. No problem at all down in Bridgend. I noticed, looking at the weather forecast, you were due for a good day today. I'll keep an eye on that quarter, because we've got a caravan down in near Wollacombe, which is only just across the water, isn't it, from you? So I often have a look at the weather there. But I saw today you're going to have a better day than we've got, dull and overcast here. And then I think more rain tomorrow. Anyway, lads, I'll leave you to it. Next time I'll warm up the amplifier, make it a bit easier for everybody. And I'll leave you all to it. So cheers to you, Dave, Frank and Peter. G3RUO, now off and clear. 73, lads.
Yeah, cheers, Bill. Bye-bye.
Yeah, cheers, Bill. Have a good day from G0GSR.
Yeah, bye, Bill from MW0GYV.
Right, let's get the order. Me, Frank, and then Peter. How about that for this morning?
I'm hearing this morning. I gather you've got a 2-metre sked, so we'll let you get away to your 2-metre group.
Mine doesn't go down. Mine goes down to 0.01 of a hertz, but not 001. G0GSR with MW0GYV, M0SPZ.
G0GSR. I'd get a new one, Dave, and throw it away if I were you. That one's no good, is it? No, it doesn't go down to 0.001. It goes down to 0.003, and which is absolutely ridiculous, but that's what it is. But yeah, good morning to Peter. Nice day here. Hope you enjoyed the day yesterday with the grandkids. They sounded in great form. I was a bit disappointed that you didn't send me the YouTube video of that pop band that you were making up there with all the instruments, Peter. MW0GYV in the group G0GSR.
Good God, Frank, you should know. No time. I was completely occupied the whole damn day. So, Grandad. And then we went and bought some water pistols as well. So, we got rather soaked. Well, I did. And they ended up with a bucket of water over them because I threatened them in the end. We had a great day. It was very, very sunny here. Very sunny indeed. And very warm. So we forgot to put the suntan lotion on us, but we remembered the grandchildren. But we forgot ourselves, so we got rather red faces this morning. It was a grand old day. So hope you enjoyed the rock concert. I will try and edit something and I'll show you. Perhaps I'll send you some, but they are absolutely bonkers, the pair of them. Lovely pair of kids, but one is the young one is 5, and she'll be 6 in end of September, and the other one's 7.5, going on 15. So, oh dear, they are growing up so fast. We had a lovely day, and I'm now looking for a Marshall amp, M0SBZ MW0GYV.
Yeah, Roger. MW0GYV with G0GSR, M0SPZ returning. Well, of course, in talking to Walter, he would go mad if you said a Marshall amp. He would say a Vox amp is the only way to go. I disagree, of course. I think Marshall are much better and much louder and add that distortion that we all love. Okay, about grandchildren. I'll tell you one thing to do is make up some mega bubble mix, Peter. I used to do this with my godchildren, and you make it, I forget the recipe, but it's guaya gum is one of the things you put in, and fairy liquid and various other bits and pieces, and you can blow bubbles that are sort of 3 or 4 feet in diameter. And I actually got pictures somewhere, I don't know where it is now, but managed to get one of my grandchildren almost inside one of these bubbles, not grandchildren, godchildren, and took a photograph. So it was, I had the hoop, and as I was drawing the hoop through the air, I actually drew it over him, and and he was actually inside the bubble for a moment or two. And so that's a really good stuff. It's a bit messy. When the bubbles pop, they leave a sort of a slime blob on the carpet or thing. So probably an outdoor, certainly in your house, Peter, it's an outdoor activity. But that's real good fun. And that's the thing about small kids, is that really you're not really doing it for them at all, are you? You're doing it for yourself. Enables you to live a second childhood, Peter. Just on the scope again, I ordered a 100-to-1 probe for it, which I found on eBay, of course, and I think it was about 10 quid, maybe a little bit more, because I thought to myself that at 10-to-1. Back EMF off relay coils and things is still chancing your arm a bit if it all goes wrong. So I decided to buy a 100-to-1 probe, and then I found somebody selling an active probe kit. And basically, it's not really a very good active probe, but it's just an FET input probe, and it was all built up on the circuit board. And then you can put the circuit board into a pen casing or something and make an active probe. So I sent away for that. So I've got one or two little goodies coming off of eBay to play with. G0 GSR in the group, M0 SPZ.
Yeah, okay, Dave. G0 GSR. 101 probe sounds interesting. I don't think I need one, to be honest. It looks like the maximum input says 300 volts RMS. And that with a 10 times probe is 3 kV RMS, isn't it? So I would have thought that would have been fairly safe, and I have already exposed mine to back EMF. It went off the bottom of the screen. I didn't measure what it actually went to. It just disappeared somewhere about 3 foot lower than the bottom of the screen. But it'd be interesting, Dave. Any of the listeners know what you receive when you get them. That link you sent me to a video thing, I've been cursing you since yesterday because I can't get that stupid tune out of my head now. I played it, and it's not really my cup of tea, but I would enjoy it if it was played. We're talking about Bach here, Peter. It's not my kind of music. I would enjoy a live performance. I always maintain that any music live I will enjoy, but I wouldn't really sit down and listen to that. But I can't flipping get it out of my head. I don't know what. I'll have to listen to something completely different and see if I can replace it by something else just to get it out of my head. And Bill mentioned Woolacombe then. It was one thing that struck me as being quite weird. Perhaps Peter can shed some light on this. We used to have a caravan at Woolacombe when the kids were little. We used to go there every weekend in the summer, and it was brilliant. But it seemed like the whole population of Birmingham descended on Woolacombe for the whole summer. The whole campsite there was full of Brummies. So what is it about Woolacombe and the southwest, Peter, that attracts the Birmingham people so much? MW0GYV in the group, G0GSR.
MW0GYV, I've no idea, Frank, but when he mentioned Woolacombe, I thought, well, that's about halfway between the two of us. And secondly, there's a chappie that there's a car park attendant. There's a big car park down there by the beach, isn't there? And an amateur radio friend of mine lives across the channel. We first met on 2 meters. And I could chat to him on 2 meters, and then we continued on mainly on 40. He was always, 59 plus 60 with me over here. Anyway, I haven't heard him for ages. Talk about propagation. He suddenly disappeared. And he had his brother-in-law lived at the back garden as well, and he was into it a bit, Peter. I'm trying to remember his name. You've probably heard him. But he was always on, very popular guy, and it was always on, and he's always going to the car park. He only works sort of part of the year. But I immediately thought of him. When you said Bach, I like Bach's Jakarta and Fugue, which reminds me of the chocolate and beetroot cake we had yesterday. Talk about tenuous connections. But the reason I bring that up is because my younger granddaughter, Lucy, the 5-year-old, she's quite a fussy eater. In fact, they've had eating problems with her, or eating disorder, I think she's got really. But she's having a constant battle with Mum. Now, she comes here and, she eats Grandad's pizza, and she eats what Grandma makes and stuff, and scones and stuff like that. Because we don't try and force them to eat, try food and rice and stuff like that. But that's another... Anyway, yesterday, when we went to my other daughter-in-law, the one that's not married to my son, Jo, she'd made a chocolate and beetroot cake. And she offered some chocolate. She was about to say chocolate and beetroot. She said chocolate, and she stopped. And the elder one asked, and then the younger one asked. And I thought it was superb. Anyway, Edwina had already made one, because she got the recipe off her. Now, Joe's had chocolate on the outside, the dark chocolate, and but Edwina's doesn't. And anyway, Emily, the elder one, saw it. Oh, can I have some chocolate cake? She thought it was the same one. Anyway, I cut the pieces. We took it down the garden, got the tent down the garden and the campsite and all that. And Lucy saw it. Now, she was like a little bloody animal. She grabbed the biggest piece and she would not share it with her sister. It was ever so funny, because they don't know there's beetroot in it. Because they don't eat vegetables. It's just incredible. And she stuffed this into her mouth like there's no tomorrow. Then she wanted more. There's lots of chocolate in it, by the way. It's a Jamie Oliver recipe, and it's highly recommended. So there you are, Frank. That's one for you. Chocolate and beetroot cake. Jamie Oliver's chocolate and beetroot cake. A nice vegetarian. Lovely stuff it is. Mega Bubbles, thank you very much. That's something else I've written down. A big circle around that to look up later on. Mega Bubble mix. Thanks. Grandad, have you got a paddling pool? That was another question yesterday. 30 years ago. Yes, I have my signal generator. It's actually a Gold Star function generator, FG-8002, and I bought it about 30 years ago. We were on holiday in Holland when we lived in Germany, and I happened to see it in it was a sort of a sells everything shop, like a bit like Home Bargains or like a junkie shop, but it was you could buy everything from washing powder to, we were in there buying beans, I think, funny enough. But I paid a silly amount of money. I hadn't got enough guilders. It was in the time of guilders, a long time ago, and I had to go back and count the guilders, and I had just enough, including all the cents. But I want to show off now because it's sine, square, triangular wave generator. And you can set the various, amplitudes, offsets, and so on. But the range goes from hertz, 1 meg, at the top, and it goes up to 2 megs is the top one, and it goes down to these are the push buttons, and the lowest one's 1 hertz, and that's in the centre of the tuning scale. And if I go down, I haven't got it plugged into a speaker, but my lowest is 0.02 hertz. And actually, the scale is not calibrated, but goes lower. So it's a really ridiculous thing. Anyway, there we go. And they weren't playing to Bach yesterday. They were playing to ZZ Top off Glastonbury last year. M0SBZ, MW0GYV.
Yeah, Roger. MW0GYV, G0GSR, M0SBZ returning. I quite like ZZ Top. I don't admit it to a lot of people. I just think they look cool, don't they, with those great long beards. And I've got one of their LPs actually. They're classic, well-dressed man, and that they had a couple of hits, didn't they? Which I quite like. Right, as regards to sorry about that. Yeah, you won't be able to get that out of your head for ages. Maybe the thing to do is to listen to some more Bach, force yourself, and then you'll get another one. I must admit that if I start whistling a tune for some reason or other, in the morning, that tune is on my mind all day. And you're absolutely right. You do need to listen to something else to change tracks. Otherwise, it will drive you mad. As regards to the toccata and fugue, there's a very big debate amongst enthusiasts, Peter, that Bach never actually wrote that. When you listen to it, you think, well, this is not really typical Bach. There is nothing else that Bach has written that is in the same sort of style as that. Personally, I think he did write it, but there's a sort of a hoo-ha amongst all the aficionados that Bach probably didn't write it. But whoever wrote it, it's a flipping good piece of music. I'm not all that fond of organ music, actually. I think a lot of it descends into dirge. Now, that might be my hearing that does that, but once I start listening to organ music, it all sounds a bit fuzzy and blurred to me. But the other thing, Frank, and I don't know whether I ever told you, or I sent this to somebody. I've got a file of that very same piece of music, the Brandenburg number 3, but played on a Moog synthesizer. It was switched on Bach by Walter Carlos, now Wendy. Not quite sure what was going on there, and that is really quite funny to listen to, because not only does he continue all the sort of progressions that Bach has, and but he also changes the Moog synthesizer to suit. So that's quite a fun piece of music to listen to, which I will send you if and when you ask for it. Don't want to overload you, Frank. As regards to your Woolacombe Bay, I've been to Woolacombe Bay. I suppose everybody has. But it never ceases to amaze me. Whenever I used to go on holiday, of course, we all used to take holidays at the same time, because of school's out, etc. You know, you'd go to the other end of the country, and the first person you'd see is your mate from work. You'd always bump into somebody that was from the same area as you, but you might be, hundreds of miles away. I never quite understood that, other than the fact, of course, that everybody was on holiday at the same time. On the scope system, Frank, excuse me, I thought about yesterday that I've never actually used the help system. It's got a built-in help system, and I've never actually used it. So that's about the only facility now that I haven't investigated. G0GSR M0SPZ in the group.
Yeah, good morning, John. G0GSR, I'll pass it to you in a second. Hope you're well. Though I haven't used the help system either, Dave, and I haven't even read the manual, to be honest. And, it's quite amazing, isn't it? But I've managed so far not to be able to read the manual at all. Mind you, I've watched quite a few of the videos on the YouTube, so I knew quite a bit about it, like you did before we even got it. But yeah, the Bart video, I'm a bit of a geek, really, and with stuff like that, I find myself watching the video, and instead of watching it and enjoying it for what it was, I was looking at how they mic'd it. I could see the harpsichord had a stand mic underneath it, but I was looking for the other ones. It was obviously in stereo, so there was obviously a few microphones there, but they must have been using overhead boom mics or something, because I never actually saw any. But that's what I was trying to look at rather than watch the video. And regarding holidays and things, I wonder whether you remember the Wakes weeks. I used to come from Oldham, and all the factories used to shut down for 2 weeks, or I think it was 2 weeks, in a certain time of the year. And all the different towns had a different 2 weeks. And the whole population used to descend on one holiday resort. So if you lived at that holiday resort, 1 week you'd have Glasgow people, the whole population of Glasgow there. Next week you'd have everybody from Rochdale. The next week you'd have everybody from Oldham. I don't suppose they do that kind of thing anymore. Anyway, very good morning to John, G3VZF and the group, G0GSR.
G0GSR, GW0, oh dear. Memory's not working over 24 hours, and M0SPZ, G3VZF returning to you. Yes, good morning, chaps. All good signals direct this morning, and we even have a bit of sunshine here, which is a very pleasant start to the day, so it looks like it's going to be a quite nice Tuesday today. Yes, it's interesting talking about those scopes. Just because the probes are 10 to 1, Frank, means it might still be blown apart if you put 3 kV on it. So take care. But you chaps do really seem you're getting some sun out of these. I take it the time bases in the thing are DDSs. I've got a DDS VFO I made here for my FT101E. It's still a nice rig, but its VFO isn't stable enough for present-day demands where people wrap your knuckles for being 20 hertz off channel, and that is a ridiculous thing. Actually, it's got so many bits of resolution that you can step in 1/85th of a hertz, which is it's totally over the top for amateur radio. I've never been told you're off frequency by 1/85th of a hertz, old man. Come up a bit. That has stimulated the conversation about Bach. Yes, I've heard that suggested as well, Dave, that Toccata and the Fugue wasn't actually a Bach original, but I don't know. It's difficult to say that. There are a whole lot of pieces of Bach which don't sound like any other Bach. Well, this is the appeal, really, I think, of it, that there's when you look at someone like Haydn, is it 104 symphonies, and you find it, I think, at times difficult to tell them each from each other. There's an awful lot of internal repetition as well as similarity between them, whereas everything in Bach is there's some unexpected aspect to it that a bit like churches, I suppose. There's no one master plan for churches, and part of the delight of seeing them is that they're unique. So I don't know about Toccata and Fugue, therefore not being by Bach. He might have just written it on a day when he felt like writing a Toccata and a Fugue. If you want a second Bach piece which is worth listening to, that's the Passacaglia in C. The Toccata and Fugue is probably the best known piece of organ music, but the Passacaglia in C. I play the organ. I tried playing them both. I can not do too badly on the Toccata and Fugue, but the Passacaglia must be something that Bach wrote to stretch his own talents, because you have is it 5 or 6 different themes running in parallel. I've never managed to play them all, actually. I play a reduced version of it, but it's a superb music, and all just based on 4 notes. So it's a classic piece of Bach, just making a simple start go into all the different mathematical variations there can be. I've had a surprise here. I wanted to take a photo of my foot to show the dog, and I couldn't always do it. Go to the wife's camera, battery's absolutely flat. So I remembered I bought some nickel metal hydride batteries a couple of months ago to repair my electric toothbrush, and I bought 4 cells, so I had 3 left over. I was absolutely astonished. The 3 cells still appear to be virtually fully charged, and God knows how old they are, but I've had them for several months, and they spent some time in transit from the Far East. If you come across this sort of thing, it seems astonishing that they retain so much charge. I'd be very interested in your comments on that. As for Wakes Weeks, I used to visit my wife to be in Morecambe back in the late 60s, and gosh, didn't it change each week there? Wasn't Saturday such a tumultuous time with the leavers getting kicked out of the boarding houses, and the tidying up being done before the next lot arrived Saturday afternoon. My mother-in-law ran a boarding house in Morecambe, so we're a little bit familiar with this sort of thing going on. But as you say, I doubt it happens now, Peter. I can't imagine it's anything that coordinated can work nowadays. So it's Morecambe is Morecambe is Morecambe. Who do I pass it to? I'm going to pass it to Dave, if only Dave can set the 4-way order. But good morning to you all. M0SBZ-G3VZF.
It's me, MW0GYV. Morning, John. You organised the signal this morning, and yes, Wake Week. Well, in the Midlands, it used to be the last week of July, first week of August, and all the big factories used to shut down, including Longbridge, and where my dad worked, which was one of the Hawker Siddeley Group, HDA, or High Duty Alloys, started in 1938 to build Spitfire pistons, pistons for the Merlin engine. They did lots of work for that. They did all sorts of stuff there, but all the big factories closed down together, and the town used to empty, and yeah, right. But we used to go down to places like Weston and Barry and stuff, and you'd meet people, next door neighbour and stuff like that. But never been to Woolacombe. There we go. A place we should go and have a look at. I think I've been to Ilfracombe, but not Woolacombe. So there we go. And yeah, Bach's Toccata and Fugue. I bought. It was one of the very first LPs I bought, and that was to test out my hi-fi. In fact, I think it was for a while the only LP I possessed. I had the home-built amplifier, the Mullard 510, which I'd built, and I can't remember what record deck I had. I think it was a GL85 or a Goldring Lenko or something. All expensive, and I had one LP to play in it. But you have to have the proper one with the remote keyboard, isn't it? With all the clackety-clack, thumpy-thumpy keys and the slight delay. So we were listening for the clackety-clack more than the music, but I did enjoy it. And back to the Wakes Week, Tenby, down in West Wales. I think the population is about 3,500. Apparently, this week and next week and the week after, it rises somewhat to 35,000. It's unbelievable. We have friends who live in Penally, and they basically don't go into Tenby at all with their cars for about 3 weeks. So they have to go in. They can walk in from Penally. It's about a mile. They can walk down the beach, and they live on. Well, it's fairly close to what they call the South Shore, I think. They can see not far from the house. They can see across the Caldy Island. But going down is a nightmare. You have to choose your times very carefully this period. So there we go. So yeah, I've got. Talking about batteries, yes, I've got quite a few of the nickel metal hydrides, and I find they hold their charges pretty well. I've got some all different types, Fuji ones and some Duracell, and they all seem to hold their charge pretty well. So I know they're supposed to lose their charge if you put them on the shelf, but I believe you're supposed to store nickel cadmiums at 0 voltage, and nickel metal hydrides, I think you're supposed to store those charged up. I forget. But on that score, I got one of these clever battery chargers for the car. It's quite a small unit, but it'll charge at 4 or 5 amps. But it charges at different rates and things, and it'll give a trickle charge, it'll give a boost charge, it'll desulfate the battery and so forth. But I've had it for 2 or 3 years. But sometimes I go to switch the damn thing on, and it's only got one button on it, and it's the on-off button, and it also selects the different modes, for a motorcycle battery, for a car battery, or for when it's cold, you need to give it extra voltage into the battery. And sometimes the damn thing doesn't switch between the modes. And you can press it, and you can hold it, and you can press it lots of times, and nothing happens. And then you sort of go, and then you sort of press it again. It works. It's just, so what have I got to do with it? I can't get into it, actually. It's got these anti-tamper screws, but I wonder if anybody knows about those. So, with that, it's Bach today. M0SBZ MW0GYV from Birmingham.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I missed the last little bit of that, Peter. Just say that again.
No, I was trying to be clever, Dave. Back to you. Back to you.
Right, yeah, Roger. Woof woof. MW0GYV with G0GSR and G3VZF. M0SBZ returning. Well, very good morning to you, John. Thanks for joining us. As regards to the DDS oscillator, yeah, my frequency generator is what is it? Direct digital synthesis. Is that what it stands for? And so the purity of the sine wave and thing, it's certainly not good enough for doing sort of audio distortion work, but it's a great little gadget, and it's as light as air. I bought it. It goes up to 12 megs, starts off at 0.01 hertz and goes up to 12 megs, sine, 3 waveforms plus pulse, and it does a great job. But when I first got it, I thought they'd forgotten to put it in the box, because I picked up the box and I thought, oh, this is an empty box. But sure enough, inside was this counter, and it's all sort of menu driven. It's very difficult to understand how to get it to do the sweeping and so on. But once you've been through it a few times, it does become more easy. And so that's what I've got, and that's what we were messing about with. Frank and I have both got the same digital storage scope, as you've probably surmised, and we're sort of marvelling at the things it can do, and really sort of it's verging on magic in comparison to what we used to have 20 years ago at work. As regards to now, what have I written down there? Something per month. Can't remember what. Oh, I know what it is. Nickel metal hydride batteries. Yeah, I had a similar sort of, the opposite experience. Whenever I used to go and pick up a battery-powered tool, a screwdriver or a drill or something, it would never ever have any charge in it, and so I'd put it on charge, and then sort of decide to do the drilling or the unscrewing the next day, and in the meantime I've got out the power, the mains powered gadget, and done it anyway. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. And also I've got various little things around the house that take AA batteries, and one of them is this swinging stick sculpture thing that I reverse engineered, and that was always, the batteries only seemed to last about, well, just over a couple of months really, and that had, they were nickel metal hydride, and I then decided to spend a bit of money on some Duracell nickel metal hydride, but these ones come pre-charged, and they keep their charge, their shelf life charge, for well over a year. So so the technology is there, John, for these batteries to maintain their charge. I think the other batteries I've got were all cheap and cheerful rubbish things from China, and that's why they didn't keep their charge. But these Duracells certainly do keep their charge. In fact, they were so good, I bought another set. I think an ordinary nickel metal hydride, according to that Battery University site that I mentioned the other day, guys, they go down by about 30% in the first month. So they do self-discharge quite quickly. Well, it's interesting you should mention Bach and mathematics, John. I've always thought that Bach is very mathematical in all the sort of intricacies and all the changes that he does, and then when you listen to Mozart, I've always thought that Mozart is a little bit operatic. It's a little bit over the top. Brilliant, of course, and some of my favourite church music was Mozart. But you can't beat Bach. Can't beat a bit of Bach, that's what I say. Right, so round to you then, Frank. G0GSR in the group, M0 SPZ.
Well, where do I start? G0GSR. Start at the end. I watched a program regarding music. It was about popular music, but it was regarding being able to manufacture the standard pop song using science by analysing what has previously been successful since records began. And I don't think they actually managed to do it, but it was quite interesting the way they did this. They digitised, I think, every single pop record since records began, and tried to categorise the different characteristics of the music, and they made hundreds and thousands of millions of data records, and tried to match those with whether that particular track was successful or not. And they then tried to manufacture a record based on that, and I don't really think it worked, but that's what they were trying to do. But it's quite interesting because all that was based on mathematical analysis of the chart hits. But going back to batteries, yes, I too bought a set of, I think they were nickel metal hydride batteries, and they were specified as being long life, low self-discharge, that they too came fully charged, and after 6 months I can truly say that I haven't used them, and they're still reasonably well charged. I don't know what the capacity of them is, but I bought them for a camera flash, which I knew would have very little use. And they're certainly very, very good for that. I can imagine that if I didn't use it, they would still work after about a year. But DDS VFOs, I've got one of them here, John. I bought it to make a little project with, and as you say, it works very nicely. Very good resolution. But one thing I really did notice was looking at the output very carefully on the spectrum analyzer. It did have a few strange, non-harmonically related spuriouses that they did things like if you were increasing the frequency, the spurious would decrease in frequency. They're fairly well down, but these things do have a few little sprogs on the output. They're not particularly clean. Anyway, over to you, John, from G0GSR.
G0GSR in the group. This is G3VZM. Yes, all copied. Very good copy this morning. Very pleasant. Yes, well, I mean, DDS is basically a game of join the dots, isn't it? So the sine waves in particular are not going to be brilliant, particularly when you're using relatively low divisors. The one I originally built was built using a little IC that was 40 pins to the inch, just suspended in midair, a sort of bird's nest thing, and when the voltage regulator failed and blew that chip up, I couldn't replace it. The hand's not steady enough, not enough light, nothing at all, so I left it for a bit. Then I bought a little ready-made unit off the internet. Very impressive thing. It was only about £3. It had a better synthesizer as well, one that could take a higher clock frequency. So it's astonishing these things could be shipped out from the Far East for just a few pence. And yes, you do get, I mean, because of this join the dots thing, you do tend to get sproggies, but not too much close in. So one can do things with it. In this 101E, the DDS unit just goes into one of the crystal sockets on the fixed frequency unit. And there is a coupling transformer at the end of that into the rig, so there's a bit of bandpass filtering occurring there, which meant the thing was quite good and very, very useful. I mean, actually applying the DDS chip was just electric mechano, really. There's only one thing you can do with them, but writing the software for the little microprocessor that controlled it and the keyboard was quite good fun, particularly writing calibration software. There's a final mixer from crystal oscillators in the 101E, and all the crystals, of course, are slightly different frequencies, so one has to work out a technique to get all bands calibrated to whatever precision you want to work to, and that was quite good fun. Also, of course, trimming the actual crystal the DDS runs off to be an exact value. And one can sort of think of clever things to do. That's the one I...
She said about £300. So I rang the firm myself in Lancashire who makes the thing, who supplies but whether it's still there, I don't know. There was always a gap there opposite, and I could pull off the road and set up my stuff there for quite long sessions, actually. On 4 meters, that's what I spent a lot of my time doing. So that's good. Yes, it's just that we haven't ventured to have a look up there, and I wasn't sure how much access there was. Anyway, it might be worth having a little go up there and just see how far we can get and then come back again. Okay, well, I'll just pass it to Nigel, and although I've signed out now, Nigel, I've got a moment and see how you are. G6ED, GTZGP, G3JRL.
From GS6ED, yeah, okay there. Okay then, John, and to Richard. I don't know how strong I'm copying. You're copying me, but a lot of variation this morning. I only just really found you. I did listen on 695 and 697, which is the usual area I could find you, but I didn't think it was coming downhill down to 93. But anyway, I did find you after with a break. Anyway, okay, yeah, I think the rig is playing up again. Looks like the rig's playing up again. I won't be able to hold that. I thought I cured it, but looks like not. It's even happening down on 40 watts. I'm on 40 watts at the moment, and it's still happening. I've done everything I can think of. Anyway, it's gonna probably drop out again. Anyway, I won't hold it. Sorry about this. Anyway, you're both of you are about 5 and 9 with QSB. If you're still getting something from me, G6ED.
Yes, good morning, Nigel from G3ZGP and Company. Yeah, 5 and 9. Yeah, sorry to hear I'm still having a problem. Strange one, isn't it? Especially when you've come down to lower power. Have you still got another HF rig that you've tried on the same power supply, Nigel, over?
I haven't got it anymore. I sold it on there, the 897. I should have hanged on to it, I think. No, I haven't got another one to try. I've got another one to try. I can tell what's going to happen because on the power supply, I watch the needle and it's jumping up and down as I talk because of SSB. But then all of a sudden it stays up the full scale, and I know what's going to.
But if I forget to turn it off, it's also got an automatic power down, and it leaves the little words in the.
I've got one of those records, Dennis. I don't know where it is, but I remember it now, somewhere in my file of records.
You know, up to a week. So I've left it on for a week, but up between boats, between boat journeys, and don't use 2 meters very much. And I've got that. But anyway, that one's okay. And if I switch it off, it'll stay charged up for weeks and months with my Duracell batteries that I've got in that. It should have NiCad, but I've got Duracell nickel metal hydride. And I've also got a Bofeng GT3 in my hand now, and that's got a lithium battery in it. And it's got a switch to switch it on. Hang on. There we go. That switches off and on. But if I leave this with the battery in and fully charged up, and I switch it off, and I come back to it tomorrow evening, the battery will be flat. So what I have to do is I have to release the battery and out of it. Perhaps there's something wrong with it. But to flatten the lithium battery, which is it's 7.4 volt, 1800 milliamp hour lithium battery. You heard me put it out then. So I obviously discharge it by 1.8 amp hours in about 24 hours. So where's all that current going? I have no idea. And well, there you go. Bark is Welsh, definitely. Always was, and always is, and always will be. So over to you, Bark. M0SBZ, MW0GYV.
Yeah, Roger, MW0GYV, G0GSR, G3VZF, M0SBZ returning. Okay, chaps, well, as regards to the modules that you get off of eBay, John, yeah, absolutely incredible value. And I've done exactly the same thing with little power supply modules. You think to yourself, okay, I'll build myself a power supply and use some regulators and all the rest of it. And then you look on eBay and you find not only do you get power supply, but it comes with a voltmeter and an ammeter on it as well for £6, and it's good for 5 amps. So you think to yourself, well, there's no point in even beginning to start building this stuff when these modules are so cheap. In fact, I've bought several modules. The other thing that I bought, module-wise, is little RF remote relays. It comes with its own little push button, an on-off switch, and it's got a range of about, I don't know, about 100 meters or something. And that was almost, what was it, about £3, I think, and free postage. And you think, well, wait a minute, how can they do that? So obviously China is absolutely full of electronic modules and things that they need to get rid of. In fact, I was reading an article about China this morning. Now, what were they doing? They were doing something. Oh, encryption. They reckon that they're going to have the first, what do you call it, quantum encryption system running their internet, and they're going to run the world eventually, no doubt about it, if the Americans let them. So that's my big concern, is that the Americans will never live down the fact that they're not the cleverest nation in the world, or not the most powerful. And whether they let the Chinese get away with that, I don't know. So there could be trouble. There could be trouble ahead. Right, okay. YouTube films. Yes, I must admit, one of my favourite clips out of any film is Danny Kaye in The Court Jester, I think the film's called, where he has to remember what's it, like the vessel with the pestle contains the pellet with the poison, and the chalice from the palace contains the brew that is true. I don't know whether you've ever seen this, but of course he just about memorises that, and then they change it. They say, oh no, we couldn't get the chalice from the palace. We have to put it in the chateau from the Gatto from the Chateau or something, and you think, oh my goodness, it's so funny. And you can't, they just don't show those films on the telly anymore. They used to show Danny Kaye films on the telly quite often, but they just don't seem to show them. They just show repeats of other boring sort of stuff. So, and on YouTube you can actually find that clip. You can't actually watch the whole film, of course, but you can find excerpts from these things, and it really is very, very funny. I don't know whether you've ever seen it, but it's certainly worth a look because it is incredibly funny. As regards to batteries, yeah, I think I don't understand really why anybody these days, other than the fact that all the rechargeable equipment uses them, would still go for lithium ion or nickel cadmium. Nickel metal hydride or nickel cadmium.